There's this girl that is trending right now in Spanish on TikTok, and the reason she is trending is because she got cheated. Her revenge was to take her boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend, to Mexico. But there's a catch. He can't return to the US. Now, to cover this part and what she was saying, she said that she paid for him to come to the US. Now, there's two ways that I know that you pay to come to the US. The first one is a visa, working visa or any type of visa. You come over here and you could stay until your visa expires. If you overstay, now you're illegally. The second way is a coyote. For people that are not from Mexico or familiar with the word coyote, and I'm using it the way in Mexico they use it, or Mexicans use it. A coyote is someone that smuggles individuals from Mexico to the US. You also have to pay those individuals. Like I mentioned, she said, I paid. She didn't specify how, but we're gonna play it safe right now, and we're gonna say it was a visa. And he overstayed the visa. Now, she also mentioned she's from Texas, 2 hours away from Laredo and 2 hours away from San Antonio. And now, explain that part later on more. For people, again, are not familiar with the United States and Mexico, Texas is big. But like I mentioned, she said 2 hours, meaning she's near that border. Now, to cover how she found out she got cheated. They went on vacation. They took photos, they came back, and she wanted the photos. She asked for the photos, he handed the phone to her. She was looking at the phone, I guess it was a snapshot message. She opened the snapshot. She was going on detail how the snapshot works, which I'm not familiar. She was talking about all these dots and how some messages, you could make them vanish. But there's a catch also. If you save the message, it doesn't get vanished. And she was looking at those messages, and that's when she found out she got cheated. She looked at the photo, that's when she found out she got cheated. And then she looked at the phone number. At that point, her plan was ticking. And the reason I want to cover this video is because there was this female that got cheated that I met. I'm not going to disclose what she did as revenge, but it was savage, but not that savage to be on ID channel, Ashland Forensic Files, or on Oxygen. No, not that type of savage, but it was pretty bad. And the reason I want to cover it is because it took her 6 months to get that revenge. And they're still together, but all she wanted is to get that revenge. Meaning that some people could wait to get you. Anyways, so now she's thinking of her plan. She knows he's gonna rest the following day of the revenge. And she said, you know what? I'm gonna tell him we're going to Six Flags San Antonio, which is 2 hours away. But instead of that, I'm gonna take him to Laredo, crossing the border is Nuevo Laredo, and I'm gonna leave him there. Now, I did my research. I said, so 2 hours away, Laredo and San Antonio is three in a cash, three some change hours away. So I said, where could she be from? So I looked at Google Maps. I used to live in Austin, Texas, used to go to San Antonio. So I'm familiar with Texas. And the closest city that I could think that is 2 hours and 17 minutes to San Antonio and 2 hours and 23 minutes to Laredo at night, since she said she was driving at night, is Corpus Christi. Corpus Christi is east, or if you're going to San Antonio, you have to drive northwest. If you're driving to Laredo, you have to drive southwest. And she also mentioned some of the places that she was afraid that they need to stop, and she never mentioned Buc-ee's. And if you're familiar with Texas, there's Buc-ee's. But there's none near Corpus Christi going to San Antonio, and there's none going from Corpus Christi to Laredo. And the reason I say that is because anybody in Texas will say, oh, let's go to Buc-ee's, or Buc-ee's in the stop, because there's a gas station and you refill on food. So she was planning to take him to San Antonio, but instead of that, she was going to take him to Laredo. Her strategy was to go at night, tell him, hey, let's go at night to San Antonio to get there early. The next day was his day off. So everything was going according to plan. She planned that they will not take no breaks, because if they try to take a break, if they're trying to get gas, restroom, or whatever, he was gonna find out that they were not going to San Antonio, but instead to Laredo. And she was familiar with both roads, she said. So now her plan was to head to Laredo. They get on the vehicle. He went to sleep. I did look at her TikTok, so I assume it was a truck. And they're going to Laredo. They get to Laredo, and for people that are not familiar with border crossing, now I'm not familiar with the Laredo one. I'm familiar with Tijuana and Mexicali. This is the way it works. You're crossing the border, and you see these little lights. Those little lights are in the US, and they're registering your vehicle before it leaves the US. I assume it's to know when you left the US. So when you're trying to cross back, they sometimes ask, how long you been in Mexico? They already know the answer. You could lie, but they already know. They're just waiting for you to be honest or lie, and then there's a red flag. After that, and this is what she said, we went to Mexico and we passed the first revision. The first revision, like I mentioned, Tijuana, Mexico, there's these lights. If it's red, you have to go to second revision. If it's green, you keep on going and mind your own business. So she went past the first revision. He's still sleeping. On the second revision, since I assume it was green because she said I was heading straight and then they told me to get to the second revision. Sometimes in Mexicali, there's a soldier and he tells you, come over here, and then you gotta go to second revision. She said they directed her to second revision and they knocked on the window. Now, what do I think happened? They saw him sleeping, so it's a red flag. Like, he's sleeping, we're gonna tell her to go to second revision. Maybe they didn't have tinted windows or whatever the case might be. So she went to second revision, he woke up. He snapped. He was saying, what are you doing? I'm in Mexico. Because apparently he cannot be in the US. So he cannot go back to the US. They were arguing or whatever the case might be. And then she handed him $50. And she said, here. So you could survive, basically. He had money because they were getting Six Flags. But Mexico's big, so maybe he's not from Laredo. He don't have family there, so he cannot easily go somewhere with a family member. Maybe she's from Laredo because she said she's familiar with that road and she's familiar with the San Antonio one. Now, these are my thoughts on that one. I do agree with the revenge. It's funny, it's hilarious. If you look at the TikTok, a lot of females are happy that she did it. Even though some of those females that say they're happy, they will not do it. And she said a phrase that she said, I could be cheated, but I cannot be used. That's a nice phrase. And she came back to the US. I did see her TikTok again. I said, let me see her. So her TikTok is basically months.user555. If you want to watch the video, if you speak Spanish, because she made that video in Spanish. Like I want to say 5 videos before that or 6, she got a BBL. But I'm not sure how long the date from the cheating to that. That's all I wanted to say, the BBL as well. So he had the total package. And that's all I got. And I kind of wanted to say another part, like she was playing Border Patrol. I've seen that before, but I've seen it on the fields. Like there's illegal immigrants working on the picking up fruits and everything, and the people with green cards, they think they're gonna make more money if they make them leave, and they call the Border Patrol. Now that's a different scenario, but I've seen it that way. For me, like I said, it was funny the way she said it. It was fun. She went to the point, and she did good. Why are you gonna pay for someone to come over here to be used, like she said? So I agree with her. I would not dare to do it. I'll be afraid, but she wasn't afraid. And the way she speaks Spanish, you could tell she is fluent in Spanish. So she could go to Mexico and not fear, not be afraid of the cops or whatever. That's all I got. Hopefully you like the video. I'll put the video right now so you can watch it, watch parts of it, not all of it, what she said. Thank you. Thank you for watching.
Ok, story time de cómo regresé a mi exnovio a México sin que se diera cuenta. Me di cuenta que me estaba engañando porque habíamos salido de vacaciones. Entonces, cuando regresamos, yo me quería pasar unas fotos a mi celular. Entonces, un mensaje. Y yo me acuerdo que yo me metí así como que a ver los mensajes y en Snap se borran los mensajes. Entonces yo me acuerdo que vi, o sea, el mensaje y había muchos que estaban guardados y esos sí se pueden ver, o sea, esos no se borran. Y yo me acuerdo que hasta había fotos y yo dije, no, o sea, me está engañando y yo lo voy a correr, pero pues se va a ir con ella, o sea, y yo también era como que, o sea, yo te ayudo a venir y todo y como, yo sentía como, pues, o sea, de todos él va a salir ganando, ¿sabes? Y yo me acuerdo que lo que yo pensé, dije, lo voy a regresar para México. Y pensé, pues si le digo obviamente que se vaya como de nuevo para México, obviamente no es tonto, o sea, nadie me va a decir que no, o sea, nada más se va a ir de mi departamento y ya. Y yo me acuerdo que yo pensé, lo voy a regresar a México yo, porque él no se va a ir, dije, nunca se va a ir. Entonces yo me acuerdo que San Antonio, de donde nosotros vivimos, está a 2 horas San Antonio y está al mismo tiempo, o sea, de San Antonio está a 2 horas y a 2 horas está Laredo. Pero yo me sé el camino a San Antonio y yo me sé también el camino o sea, a llegar a Laredo. Yo le dije, como, oye, ¿no quieres ir al baño? O sea, ve al baño para irnos, o sea, directo y no pararnos. Y yo me acuerdo que al frente de mi casa hay un Stripes. Entonces en el Stripes yo le dije, pues hay que comprar cosas y ya. Y, o sea, para que no pararnos. Y yo todavía me le quedé viendo, ya, o sea, ya cuando íbamos, y le dije, no, pues yo manejo todo el rato. Y porque no era mucho tiempo, eran 2 horas. Y yo le dije, yo manejo todo el rato, tú duérmete. Y ahorita que lleguemos al hotel, yo te hablo, o sea, para que descanses. Y yo me acuerdo... Yo me acuerdo que cuando pasas el primer chequeo, yo iba, o sea, ya íbamos a llegar y yo me acuerdo que yo iba pensando, ay no, o sea, si estará bien o estará mal, pero yo me acordaba de los mensajes, pero me daba un coraje, o sea, se los juro que yo tenía un coraje, o sea, me regresaba y yo decía, sí, qué bueno que estás haciendo esto, o sea, yo misma me echaba porras porque luego como que pensaba, no, o sea, qué mal pedo, pero luego yo también pensaba, o sea, pues yo lo traje, pues yo lo regreso. Y yo había pagado y era como que, no, yo te voy a regresar. Y yo me acuerdo que ya pasamos el primero y en el primero, o sea, nada más pasa, o sea, ni siquiera me dijeron nada. Y en el segundo, ya cuando pasas a México, si ven que hay como un ladito como que luego te paran y te metes como en la aduana, como para checar tus cosas. Entonces en ese lado a mí me hicieron así, me dijeron, no, vente para, o sea, que me fuera para el otro lado, que me orillara, que porque iban a revisar la camioneta. Y ya bajé el vidrio y es en ese video que subí, que le están como que revisando, ¿verdad? Y yo me acuerdo que, o sea, le estaban revisando, o sea, la camioneta. Y ya, pues obviamente ya se había dado cuenta y ya me empezó a decir que no, que por qué me haces esto que estás haciendo y todo eso. Y pues, o sea, yo no le decía nada. O sea, yo le empecé a decir como, yo la verdad le dije, no, pues, tú quieres ser un cabrón, pues un cabrón. Le dije, pero inicia de ceros y vente tú y que ella te traiga o no sé, o que ella te ayude o no sé, pero pues a mí no me vas a utilizar. Le dije, si quieres ser un cabrón, sé un cabrón y ahorita te dejo acá. Le dije, ahorita te voy a dejar acá, o sea, pues igual ya él ya no se podía regresar, ¿sabes? Porque ya estábamos ahí en la línea. Y ya pasamos y si es donde dan como que los de estos permisos y todo eso, pues yo ahí me di la vuelta y lo bajé. Y yo me acuerdo que yo estoy ahí en sarcástica, saco un dólar de 50 y se lo aviento todavía y le digo, pues ahí para que lo que te sirva. Porque pues igual, o sea, él traía su cartera y traía... Lo único con lo que se quedó era con lo que traía para el otro día, que íbamos a ir a Six Flags. Yo pensé, o sea, engañada, pero jamás utilizada. Y ya, o sea, eso fue mi venganza.